Welcome to quicktechie.com. Let's continue with Palo Alto Networks Network Security Analyst Certification Training next module.
Creating custom objects. Let's talk about creating custom objects. Sometimes, the standard security settings and threat information that come with the firewall aren't enough for your specific needs. Maybe you need to block a very specific website your company doesn't allow, detect a unique type of attack seen only in your industry, or prevent a certain kind of sensitive information from leaving your network. This is where custom objects come in. They allow you to create your own, tailor-made security definitions directly on the firewall. You define what the firewall should look for. There are different types of custom objects you can create, based on what you want to define. Custom URL categories. You can create your own categories for websites, separate from the standard categories like social networking or news. You define these categories by listing specific website lists using exact URLs, like https://secretprojectsite.com, or by using pattern match, like mypubliccloud.net/ to include anything on that domain. You group these specific sites under a name you choose, like internal project sites or blocked personal sites. Custom threat signatures. If you know the specific digital fingerprint of a new virus or attack that the vendor hasn't created a signature for yet, you can create your own. You define unique byte patterns, specific sequences of ones and zeros in network traffic or files, or conditions that match the malicious content. When the firewall sees traffic that matches this exact pattern or condition, it knows it's the threat you defined. This is for finding very specific, known bad data. Custom data patterns. You can define what sensitive information looks like so the firewall can spot it leaving your network. This is for data loss prevention, DLP. You specify regular expressions, special text codes that match patterns, like how a credit card number looks, or keywords, specific words or phrases, like confidential project X, that identify sensitive data. The firewall will then scan traffic and files for these patterns. For example, you could create a pattern that looks like a US social security number. Creating these custom objects gives you the flexibility to define exactly what you want the firewall to watch out for, beyond its standard capabilities. Custom URL categories. Okay, let's focus on custom URL categories. The Palo Alto Networks firewall already has many built-in categories for websites, like social networking, news, gambling, or malware. These are very useful for controlling what kinds of websites people can visit. But sometimes, you need more specific control over websites that don't fit neatly into those standard categories, or maybe you need to treat just one specific website differently. This is when you create a custom URL category. A custom URL category is simply a list of websites that you create and name yourself. You define which websites belong to this custom group. How do you define which websites are in your custom category? You do it in two main ways. 1. Define specific website lists by exact URL. You can list the full, exact address of a website you want to include. For example, if you have an internal company website you want to allow everyone to access even if other websites in that category are blocked, you would add its exact URL, like https://myinternalportal.company.com, to a custom category you name allowed company sites. 2. Define specific website lists by pattern match. You can use special characters, like, to match a group of websites that follow a certain pattern. For example, if your company uses many different services hosted on a cloud provider under the domain mycloudservice.net, you could use the pattern mycloudservice.net/ to include all websites and pages under that domain in your custom category. The means match anything. So, you give your custom list a name, for example, special blocked sites, internal resources, and then add the exact URLs or patterns that define which websites are part of that group. Later, you can use this custom category in a URL filtering security profile to set a specific action, like allow, block, alert, for all the websites you included in that category. It lets you manage access to specific websites that are important or unique to your organization. Custom threat signatures. Let's talk about custom threat signatures. Think of a threat signature like a unique fingerprint for a specific computer virus, hacking attack, or other bad data. Security companies create millions of these fingerprints, signatures, and send them to your firewall in updates. The firewall then scans network traffic looking for these known fingerprints. But what if a brand new threat appears that no security company has seen before? Or what if you see a specific type of unusual or malicious activity unique to your network that isn't caught by standard signatures? This is when you need a custom threat signature. You can create unique byte patterns or conditions to match malicious network file content. A byte pattern is like looking for a specific sequence of data, bytes, which are like digital letters or numbers, that you know is part of a virus file or an attack command. It's like finding a secret code phrase hidden in a message. Conditions can be other specific things related to the traffic, like the size of a file being downloaded, or the way a network connection is behaving. By defining these specific patterns or conditions, you are teaching your firewall to recognize something bad that it didn't know about before. For example, if you find a strange file on a computer and analysis shows it contains the unique text secret bad code 123, you could create a custom signature to look for that exact text pattern in any files being transferred through the firewall. When you create a custom threat signature, you give it a name and define the pattern or condition it should look for. Then, when this custom signature is applied, in a threat prevention profile, the firewall will scan traffic. If it finds data that matches your defined pattern or condition, it flags it as the threat you created. This allows you to quickly respond to new, specific threats or unusual activity that standard, general security updates might not cover immediately. Custom data patterns. Let's talk about custom data patterns. Imagine you have important, secret information on your network, like customer credit card numbers, employee social security numbers, SSNs, or secret project names. You don't want this sensitive information to accidentally leave your network, maybe sent in an email or uploaded to a cloud service. The firewall can help prevent this using data loss prevention, DLP. While Palo Alto Networks provides some standard ways to find sensitive data, you might need to look for very specific or unique information relevant to your organization. This is why you create custom data patterns. A custom data pattern tells the firewall exactly what kind of text or data sequences count as sensitive information that you want to monitor or block. You specify regular expressions or keywords to identify sensitive information. A regular expression, or regex, is like a special code or formula that describes a pattern of text, not just exact words. For example, a regex can be created to match the format of a credit card number, a certain number of digits, often in groups. You don't need to list every single possible credit card number, the regex just describes the look of a valid one. Similarly, a regex can define the pattern of a US SSN, 3 digits, a dash, 2 digits, a dash, 4 digits. Keywords are simpler. You just list specific words or phrases you want to find, like Project Falcon specifications or confidential customer list. You combine these patterns or keywords into a custom data pattern object and give it a name, like financial data or secret project info. Later, when you use this custom pattern in a data filtering security profile, the firewall will scan the content of files and network traffic passing through it. If it finds text that matches your defined regex pattern, like an SSN, or contains your specified keywords, it identifies that data as sensitive according to your custom pattern. You can then configure the profile to alert you or block the traffic. This lets you define and protect the specific sensitive information that is important to your business. Purpose and benefit. Let's discuss the purpose and benefit of creating custom objects. You already know that the Palo Alto Networks firewall comes with powerful built-in security features and receives regular updates from Palo Alto Networks for things like known viruses, standard website categories, and common attack patterns. This provides a strong base of protection. However, every organization is different. You might have unique internal websites, specific data that is highly sensitive to your business, or you might face very targeted attacks that are so new, sometimes called zero-day threats, that the vendor hasn't had time to create a standard update for them yet. The purpose of creating custom objects, like custom URL categories, custom threat signatures, or custom data patterns, is to allow you to tailor your security policy exactly to these situations that are specific to your internal needs or new threats not covered by the regular vendor updates. Think of it as customizing a standard security system to fit your unique house. The standard locks are good, but you might need a special lock for a unique backdoor or a specific alarm for a rare type of window you have. The primary benefit is that custom objects allow you to 1. Address specific internal requirements. You can define rules for internal applications or websites, block access to certain sites that are specifically against your company policy even if they aren't typically seen as malicious by the world at large, or create access lists based on criteria unique to your environment. 2. Protect against brand new or targeted threats. If you identify a specific malicious file or network traffic pattern that is attacking your network and it's not yet in the vendor's signature database, you can quickly create a custom signature to block it immediately, without waiting for the next official update. 3. Protect unique sensitive data. You can define what your company's specific confidential information looks like, using custom data patterns, to prevent it from leaving your network, which might not be covered by standard, general sensitive data definitions. In short, custom objects give you the flexibility and power to fine-tune your security posture, close potential gaps, and react quickly to highly specific or emerging threats that standard security updates might miss, providing an extra layer of protection relevant to your environment. Tailor security policy to specific internal needs or new threats not covered by vendor updates. Let's explain what it means to tailor security policy to specific internal needs or new threats not covered by vendor updates. Imagine the standard security updates from Palo Alto Networks are like a big book of rules and pictures that helps the firewall recognize millions of known bad things like common viruses, popular hacking methods, and general categories of bad websites like gambling or hate speech. This book is updated regularly and protects you from most known dangers out there in the world. However, your company or network is unique. You might have specific internal needs. Maybe your company uses a special internal website for ordering supplies, and you need to make sure only certain people can access it. Or you have a rule that employees absolutely cannot visit a website that sells competing products, even if it's not a generally bad site. Or your company deals with very specific kinds of sensitive information, like unique product IDs, that the standard sensitive data definitions don't recognize. These are your specific rules or needs, not general ones. New threats not covered by vendor updates. Security threats are constantly changing. A brand new virus or a hacking trick might appear today that is so new, Palo Alto Networks hasn't had time to create a signature for it and put it in their update yet. Or maybe an attacker is specifically targeting your company with a unique method. These are threats that are currently not covered by the standard, regular updates. By creating custom objects, like your own list of specific URLs, your own signature for a new virus pattern, or your own definition for sensitive data, you are tailoring your security policy. You are adding your own rules and definitions to the firewall's security book. This lets the firewall understand and respond to your company's own list of allowed, blocked websites, custom URL categories, the specific digital fingerprint of that brand new virus attacking you right now, custom threat signature, the unique pattern of your company's sensitive information, custom data pattern. It makes your security policy much more precise and effective for your specific situation, covering gaps that the general vendor updates might miss, especially for zero-day threats or very targeted attacks. Use custom objects as March criteria or inspection elements in security policy, URL filtering, threat prevention, or data filtering profiles. Let's discuss how you use custom objects as March criteria or inspection elements in security policy, URL filtering, threat prevention, or data filtering profiles. You've created your custom objects, your own list of websites, custom URL category, your own fingerprint for a new virus, custom threat signature, or your definition of sensitive data, custom data pattern. Now, You need to tell the firewall to actually use these definitions. You do this by linking the custom objects to your rules and profiles. 1. Security policy rules for custom URL categories, and sometimes custom IP/domain objects from EDLs, though that was covered earlier. You can use them directly as match criteria. In a security policy rule, you can say, if the traffic is going to a website in my internal project site's custom URL category, then allow it, or if the traffic is going to a site in my blocked personal site's custom URL category, then deny it. The firewall checks the destination website against your custom list as part of deciding whether to allow or block the connection. 2. Security profiles. Custom objects are often used as inspection elements within security profiles, which are applied to traffic that has already been allowed by a policy rule. URL filtering profiles. You reference your custom URL categories here. You add your custom category, like blocked personal sites, to the list of items the URL filtering profile should check. You then set the action for that category, for example, block. Any traffic inspected by this profile that goes to a site in your custom category will be blocked. Threat prevention profiles. You reference your custom threat signatures here. When this profile inspects traffic, it will specifically look for the byte patterns or conditions you define in your custom signature, alongside the standard vendor signatures. If your custom signature matches, the firewall will apply the action you set for that specific signature, for example, reset the connection. Data filtering profiles. You reference your custom data patterns here. When this profile inspects the content of traffic or files, it will scan for the regular expressions or keywords you defined in your custom data pattern. If your sensitive data pattern is found, the firewall takes the configured action, for example, block the file transfer. In summary, you create the custom object to define what to look for. You then apply it by selecting that custom object's name within a policy rule, to match traffic, or within a security profile, to perform a specific inspection.